Reality recap.
Hi, Evelyn. Yes, I know you have the reunion. Yes, we have 2 more episodes. And then we have the reunion, of course.
I look like the slay. I look like a mom. She was like, you the one that look like you got a high body count hair. I fell the fuck out, y'all.
Candace, has Deborah reached out to you to apologize after the episode aired showing Chris did not flirt with her?
She wouldn't dare. She would get eaten for breakfast.
Oh boy.
No, she's doubling down.
Why would you go meet with Ray J without talking to Princess or letting her know why? Like, she's trying to justify that she told her after the fact and not supposed to make it.
What do you think of your ex-husband Jim coming out and saying you did not try to stop him from suing Shannon and Tamara?
That's a good question. Well, I mean, if his memory is a little foggy about what transpired back then, that's okay. However, he did admit that I had nothing to do with the
Reality recap. Reality recap.
What's up, guys? It's your girl V with Reality Recap here for a special tea time with none other than Married to Medicine reality star Sweet Tea. We got Sweet Tea in the house for tea time. How great is that? I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you for joining me. You are my first Bravo celebrity, so I appreciate you giving me this chance and just coming in. You were so gracious, so I really, really appreciate that. So
No problem. Thank you. It's an honor actually being your first Bravo guest.
I thank you for real. It really is. I was so excited that you said yes, that you responded. So again, thank you for that. And before we get started, we're just gonna ask Sweet Tea a few questions, but I just was telling her before we got started that I really wanted to give you your flowers. I really felt like at the reunion, you stood 10 toes down. Like, you stood on business
I
at that
did.
reunion. I don't
Mhm.
think that this cast expects that from you because of different things, probably age, and
Right.
you showed them. And I was just so proud, as a wife myself, seeing you stand up for your husband, have his back regardless. You may feel indifferent and deal with that after the fact, but in front of other people, you really stood your ground and supported him, and he supported you as well. And I just felt like it was a great reunion for you. I really felt like it was.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. I mean, that's just how I was raised. Like, no matter right, wrong, or indifferent, stand firm in what you believe in. And so
Totally
that's just what
agree.
I do.
Yes. Must be like a southern thing. Like, my family's from North Carolina. I know you're from Texas. I think
Texas.
it's just like this is
It's
a
it's it's
different
embedded,
code.
it's instilled in us, right?
It's a different code there. Definitely, I agree. So I just thought that it was a great reunion for you. So I just wanted to start out giving you your flowers on just a great season
Thank
overall. I think it was
you.
great. So in the reunion, there was a lot of conversation around when we saw the argument, right, with Dr. Simone and with Quad. Also, you and Toya talked about it as far as the reasoning why you were maybe asked on the show, or they, that they wanted you on kind of to go at Quad. Dr. Simone saying it was more of Quad's karma for not being around, right? So
Right.
I wanted to kind of get from you your perspective on who asked you to come on the show. How were those conversations from the other castmates? Was it more of a plot to have you come on to ruffle Quad's feathers? What was that conversation like?
Yes, I actually met, it was Dr. Jackie and Heavenly a while back ago. And this is maybe 2 years prior for me, 2 years prior to me being on the show. Me and Gregory weren't even engaged at that time. And
Mhm,
so I would come and support Dr. Jackie at her 50 Shades of Pink. And so I went to her event. It was like a golfing event because, as you know, my husband likes to golf. And
mhm,
so, we were supporting her around in October for breast cancer awareness. So I met her and I met Heavenly there. And so,
mhm.
they were coming over to me and I'm like, hey, and I think Heavenly was recording me with her phone and stuff like that. And they were just like, oh, what about you coming on the show? They introduced themselves, but it was like straight up like the show. This one of the first things that they started talking about. And I'm like,
Wow.
I don't know. At the time, I lived in DC. Greg was in Atlanta, so I was like, and we weren't even engaged yet, so I didn't think that that was really appropriate. And so, they was being a little messy as always. But I was just like, we swept it on the rug, moved forward, and then maybe fast forward a year later, I then had moved in with Gregory, and then we were newly engaged when I saw them again at the second annual 50 Shades of Pink golf event. And so I remember Jackie was like, well, wait, right here. Heavenly's going to be on her way. She wants to talk to you. So really, they wanted to talk to me about the show. And so
Mm.
Gregory at the time was like, I don't know. And like, he was kind of
Hesitant.
like hesitant of doing it because he was like, it's messy. I don't know if I want to go back into that. And so I remember like he was like kind of over there by me and Heavenly while we were talking. And then it was like, like this is just ladies right now. Let me just talk to her on my own and stuff like that. And so
Okay.
you know so eventually I decided to come on the show. I went over to Heavenly's she was my dentist at one point. She did some work for me.
Mm.
And she was just talking to me about the show, like, look at it like this, is helping somebody out or whatever, another black woman out or whatever. And that's not really what I was doing it for. She was just telling me also about the benefit for me. And so I
Mhm.
was like, okay, I never done anything like this. I was like, at least if I do it, it'll be like, okay, I did something once to see what it was like. And so I decided to go ahead and do it. And like you saw on the gram, people were over at my house taking pictures. We were meeting each other out in person,
Right.
setting up lunches and stuff, just to try to get to know each other. And some people seemed actually genuine, but I
Mhm.
didn't know what was going on the background of that. I didn't, I never met Gregory's ex. Like I didn't know what was going on with them. And so until I started hearing little side conversations about it. And this is more so till while we started filming. And so I didn't quite understand because they didn't want to film with her. And so I didn't understand what was
Mm.
the deal. Like I was just like, okay, what? And only person that was willing to film with her was Phaedra. And so that's why they got upset with Phaedra around that funeral home. Like they was basically threatening, like, you bring her around again, we ain't gonna film with you no more. It's like, so Phaedra, you know what I'm saying? Her thing was like, okay, well, I tried. I brought you around, but they threatened to not film with me now,
Mm.
which is, I will say, it's unfair for the cast to make those type of decisions.
Right.
But then again, this is when I started to learn, like, you still have to build relationships with people off camera, on camera, because it's still reality TV. You have to be able to keep these relationships. And so I had just realized, okay, so y'all just not fooling with her or whatever. But whatever they had going on with her, I was like, I'm not gonna get involved in that. And so when Toya threw the bachelorette party for me, it was awkward that it was Toya and Phaedra that threw the bachelorette party for me, and when Quad walked in. And so it wasn't really my party, right?
Mhm.
Because it was thrown for me. And meanwhile, I'm new to TV. I'm trying to understand, like, what the hell is going on? You know what I'm saying? And I'm more focused on why am I gonna spend another $14,000 on my wedding? That's what I'm more focused on.
Right.
And then I had to change my venue, so I really don't care. At this point,
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm pissed off and I'm trying to figure out what's going on in the background right here. Like, F the show right now. And that's where my mindset was. And so when she came or whatever, it was just kind of like whatever. And then I think it was Toya that was kind of upset, was like, I threw this party. So again,
Mhm.
it wasn't my party. She said she threw it. And
Right.
so she was just like, you was all nice to her and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, I don't have a reason to, I don't know her. You know what I'm saying? What is it? Like, I'm in a newly relationship, getting ready to be married. She is not my focus. She's old news. Like, you know what I'm saying? She doing her own thing. I'm doing my own thing. And so I just thought that was weird that I was like, you want me to go back and forth with her for what? Because that don't even make
Yeah.
sense. Because I'm not bothered.
Is it a fair statement? Because from what I'm hearing, it sounds like, I don't know, just my perception from the show. It does seem like there's a lot of off camera conversations, meeting of the minds happening. So is it a fair statement to say that you may have not been aware, but I think that there was some type of conversations of, we need to get her on. We're going to ruffle Quad's
Oh,
feathers. Yeah, you do
oh
feel.
yeah, oh yeah. Once I got on, yeah, like definitely.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the dynamic was between them because I had never seen them all together, and that I didn't know that. And so they love to say that I watched the show, But at the same time, like, not only that, when, Toya was saying, like, you a fan of the show after the fact, when I wouldn't go toe to toe with Quad, I was like, there's no reason to. But before, she was like, you need to do your homework, you need to be watching the show or whatever. And then, we had a whole argument off camera, and she was like, well, you should have been watching and stuff like that. And so you would have paid attention what type of person and so, like, I work a full-time job. Hey, I don't,
Me too.
I'm not one that I'm not one to indulge in a lot of social media and stuff like that and YouTube,
Yeah.
But when I got with Gregory, my Instagram started like flowing, and I only catch up on the things that they show, like on the recaps of things.
Okay. Yeah, so you came on under the impression that they wanted you on, but you learned quickly that there were other motives,
Yeah.
and that they're seemingly what they're trying to do or tried to do to you in this last season was currently happening to Quad, where no one really wanted to film, or there was isolation happening, it sounds like. So that was one of the questions of my followers for you. I just posed it out there as, if you wanted to ask Sweet Tea questions, what would it be? I didn't tell them I was actually gonna interview with you, so they would be surprised. But they were asking, what was your expectation coming on the show? Like, did you not expect there to be drama filming with your husband's ex, or they wanted to kind of understand your thought process there? What were you expecting when you joined? And it sounds like you were expecting to not really engage with her, more be friends with the other folks, be cordial in a sense, and or really didn't have much
Yeah,
knowledge
I
of
knew it
their
might be.
dynamic.
You know what? I knew it might be some natural drama, right? But the thing is, when I came onto the show, like I was told, the focus was going to be getting married and all that. You still got to show your storyline or whatever. And so, like, when we first got engaged, I didn't know her, but she came on my post when we got engaged, and I collaborated with Gregory, and she's like, "Oh, I wish you all the blessings in the world and all that kind of stuff."
Okay.
Right? Right.
So you thought it
Okay.
was cool.
Keep that in mind, because I don't know her. So again, you
Okay.
know what I'm saying? It's like she over here. So I was just like, oh, okay, whatever. Um, I didn't respond to it or anything like that, but I did see it. I saw like a buzz after that or whatever, and so now I'm starting to see this is a repeated pattern
Mm.
for, just for attention. Like, let me see, either I'm becoming positive or negative, just so my name can keep buzzing. And that definitely is what I've been seeing. And so when I came on the show, I was like, I'm just gonna focus on me. I'm sure things will, personalities will clash, and it'll be natural drama. And so I was prepared for that. I'm really not a person that does drama, but you bring it to me, I'm gonna finish, and that's just how I am.
Understood. So when you were on the reunion, you talked, you and Toya were going back and forth, and you mentioned that she as well wanted you on the show to have drama with Quad. When did that conversation take place? Was that when you were already on the show, or prior? Like, when did, because it sounds like from what you said, you first had these conversations with Dr. Heavenly and with Dr. Jackie, but when did Toya kind of get in the mix and tell you that was some of her intention as well?
So that happened probably. I got to know Toy right before filming. Like, I went over her house or whatever. Of course, Gregory, someone had a relationship still with Eugene, and so we met like that. And so Simone actually did a YouTube with me, and she was like, "Well, Toya, she wouldn't feel like, y'all were friends that had, she invited you over to her home." And I was just like, I didn't know Toya initially when she invited me to her home. We were getting to know each other. And so, she told me a little bit of background history between the two, but I didn't want to get between her and Quiet. I didn't want to get involved though. I was
Right.
like, like, yeah, I'm listening. I'm listening to her like, okay, that ain't right or whatever. But also, I think like as we were filming, because people are one way on camera, off camera, and then they're another way on camera. Okay. And
Right.
so, in the beginning, in a way, she seemed like she came, was really cool. She came genuinely to me, just wanting to get to know me. We went out to lunch. We went to Houston's and just talked about kids and all that. Like, we vibed about that because I really wanted a family.
Right.
And so it wasn't until I feel like after we started like filming, I was just like, okay, you want to play it like me and you are besties and or sisters because everybody's saying me and Toya look alike or whatever. And so you want to play it like that. And so you want me to go against her. And so, I was like, okay, I'm not trying to that's just not who I am. Like you can't tell me who to be cool with, who not to be cool with,
Right.
who to go against. Like I'm just like I said, natural. I give everybody a chance. And once you show me who you are, I'm going to believe it. And
Right.
so it was just it was interesting. It was just interesting. And like, I would show up to the scenes like, okay, so this what we doing? Okay. So
It was like
you
a
know what I'm saying? It's
surprise.
just I wish it was just more natural drama than and some people do actually have natural drama, but you can't involve other people in that. Like when I introduced Mimi on the show, I was like, look, these people I don't mess with right here. But you can
Make
assess
your
that
own
on your
opinion.
own and get to
Right.
know them and make that decision on your own. So I can't tell you who to be friends with, who not to be friends with, but that's on you. And I'm just gonna tell you what my interaction was, and based on that, do what you need to do.
Wow. Yeah. So definitely, and honestly, that's what comes across on the show. It does come across in different situations, even at the reunion, as if there were things happening behind the scenes or meetings. I was honestly, if I'm being honest, I was shocked by Toya's demeanor towards you, didn't want to sit next to you on the couch. I was totally taken aback from that. I thought if anybody just seeing the show and how she portrayed wanting to fight for your friendship on the show, I was so surprised by her. I thought like, again, if anybody on those couches was going to have your back, I thought it was going to be her. I was totally surprised by that.
Yeah, it just like that. It didn't even make any sense why she even did that. It was just very random. Now, towards the end of the season, I did block her on my phone. Not towards the end of the season, actually, like maybe a week or two before the reunion, because
Mhm.
after a while, I just saw that okay, the friendship to me is not genuine. And I don't have time for that. Like you're not gonna get a chance to check up on me, see what I got going on and all that to try to conspire something. And so I cut her off just by, from seeing my stories and all that kind of stuff because I felt like she just did a major switch up. A
Mhm.
major switch up during the season. It was so random. It was one scene we sat there with Mimi at a restaurant saying like, "Oh, I'm your big sister. I'm here for you," and all that, and then they cut it out and she gives me this invitation, basically shading me, saying, you're jealous of Quad or your husband's jealous. And it was just so random. And I was like, so what the hell y'all want me to do with this? Like, like what like you can't sit here and be like, oh, I'm your big sister in the next moment, giving this invitation to your party. But they cut that out. And so it was just like, and so she even admitted, like, I do one thing over here, and then I'm gonna do something contrary to that, and then I'm just see which one they gonna pick.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm just like, okay. And so when she came to the reunion on that raw kind of stuff, even if I cut you off, why do you have that type of energy? You know what I'm saying? I think that she's very just immature. It's very pathetic how she conducted herself that way. Like, I know she's better than that, but I get it. Like, you just bought a new house, whatever. Maybe you just need something, some drama going into the season to get
To
you to the
keep the
next.
lights on.
Yeah, to keep the lights on. There you go.
Yeah.
So
And she did mention something. I can't remember quite everything, but I know that it was more in terms of something she may have been offended by that you said on your YouTube channel. Do you know what it was that
she
you
okay,
said?
so someone sent me a clip or a screenshot, and it was basically from my YouTube channel, and I was saying like basically Toya wanted me to go to war with Quad, and that's not true. Like, girl, that like they even had the flashback during the reunion, and then whenever I asked Quad to lead the bachelorette party, and she was like, yeah, like they even did that. So I'm like, girl, like you can't rewrite history. Like you be she was just honestly, she was just ignorant. Like I was just sitting there, like, okay, we that's what we gonna do. We're gonna be ignorant. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And that's
So
one of the meeting of the minds that I felt like happened. It was more so now we're on Quad's good side. We apologize and we have to show our loyalty to her by kind of shunning you out. It's
how it came across to me. Again, don't,
Yeah.
the people out there, don't kill me. This is just my perception, what I saw, but it
No, you're
felt like
intelligent. It's not your perception. You're just intelligent. You see what's going
I
on.
appreciate that. But it definitely felt like a shift of I have to prove my loyalty by now going against Sweet Tea. And again, I felt like regardless of that, you stood on business at that reunion. But that's what it was coming across to me, definitely.
Yeah, I mean you're intelligent. You see what it is. Like, you got to think about it. You mad because of something I said on my YouTube? I've never even said anything negative about her on my YouTube versus someone that you told me that was driving told somebody the world that you were driving drunk with the kids in your car, saying that you cheat on your husband and you was a thief. Like it don't make sense cuz you didn't even had all the energy for her. So but you got it from me all of
Right.
a sudden. So it's just like I was just like, "Girl, stop." Like I
Yeah.
just didn't even want to give her the energy cuz I don't have time. I don't have time. Don't have
Right.
time.
Now, I did see on a recent YouTube channel, on your YouTube channel, you did like a little cooking episode, and Simone was there. So it's obvious, unless something's changed quickly, it seems like you are cool with Simone. Is there anyone else on the cast, or at least the cast that we know of from this past season, that you have kind of been able to mend issues with, or is it just Simone at this point?
I'm cool with Contessa. I still talk
Okay.
to Contessa. Simone, we may not agree, but I like the fact that Simone is mature enough to have a conversation
Mhm.
and a open dialogue about our feelings without personally attacking each other. Um, and I can respect that as Simone, but other than it's just really them two. Of course, I still talk to Phaedra, but as you know, she's on the other show.
Mhm.
And right before the reunion wrapped up, I know Mimi said that Jackie wanted to chit chat, but like, because we're not really that close, but she really wanted to talk and try to make things, how can she make things better? And I don't know what that means, but we hadn't even really had the chance to talk after the reunion.
Okay. Wow. And that's good because with friendships you want to have someone that's just not a yes man that you can talk back and forth with. So after hearing what Simone said at the reunion, in her argument with Quad, that was Quad's karma, that she wasn't around, so they were hanging out with you and Greg. Do you feel used by her? Did you have a conversation about that, or feel used in general by the cast that wanted to bring you on with those
I
ulterior motives?
I would say with Simone, like, even though I met Simone over at Toya's house before we started filming, but Simone never gave me that vibe that it was Simone didn't give me that vibe more so that she was trying to use me. She wasn't one that was trying to persuade me to be on the show. She was more so like, it's up to you.
Mhm.
I didn't get that vibe from Simone. And that's why I really liked Simone in the beginning. Now, as we started filming, there's times that I really disagree on some of the things that she will, for some of the people that she takes up for. But I think when she was saying that's her karma, I think that she has a longer history with Quad, and I know that she had told me she had never been over her house and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Like they're not that close, and so I think that at one point maybe they used to be kind of
Right.
close, but that relationship is just ain't ever been good. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that I think at the time when she was saying that she was just saying that you weren't around, you weren't coming around. There was a lot
Mhm.
of issues, how showing up to work not on time and waiting for people to show up and stuff like that. And when filming scenes, I think there was a lot of um agitation and
Mhm.
they were
You can tell.
irritable. Yeah, it was agitation. And then like, I think that they were irritable by some things and things were said. And so I think that like professionally, I think they were they were
At
through
their wits end, yeah.
outside of that. And
Mhm.
so, it's kind of like, you work on these group projects in school and then, you doing all the work and you doing all the work, you showing up for the presentation and I got to talk, you know what I'm saying? That's like, I just felt like, I think that's kind of how they felt in the moment. And that's how Simone felt in the moment. And from our conversations and what I've been able to analyze while being on the show. But when they had that whole argument, that was just, I think Simone got tired of it because she was like, y'all brought them around and paraded them around. And I'm like, she was all like, wait a minute. Like, first of all, Pavers and Pop hired us. You know what I'm saying? Like your employers can hire whoever they want to hire. Like they don't always consult with you who they're hiring. Like,
Right.
you do have to keep that in mind. Like they're not our friends. They are our, employers.
Employer. Yeah.
And so at the time, like they the ones that get the final say so. But like keep in mind, we never had to film with her ever until like she came to my bachelorette party. And then at towards the very end of the season, the Met Gala, when she was looking for Gregory. So it was just like, parading us around like you weren't there. And that's what Simone was trying to say. Like you weren't even there. Like you watched them on TV and got mad. And now
Right.
you and so
Two
if that was
different
the weird
scenarios.
thing,
Yeah.
yeah, like let's stop rewriting history and let's just say it for what it is. You were never there around. You never had to film with Gregory. And so that's why I was like, I call BS too on that. Like, and so Simone was like, we gotta keep it real. Like you weren't even around, so you can't say like you felt some type of way because
Right.
you only got a few episodes during the season. That was it. That was the season for you. And so you can't get mad. Get mad at your employers.
Right.
The anger is misdirected over here.
Yeah, I definitely felt like it was too like tomato, tomato. It was apples and oranges comparing the two. Right. She wasn't really there in the presence of your filming when you guys were going through, your marriage and process other than those two events you mentioned. So it definitely was different than the scene at the couple's exercise where my perception again was that the drinks was flowing and it was just too much. It was antagonizing in my
It
opinion. I felt
was.
like, if you it
It
was
was on
low
purpose.
blows in there while praising King is how I felt. And it was just more so the extra things of being the one to throw your baby shower and stuff that it was like
Yeah.
that's a bit much, right? So
Yeah, it
I did.
was. It's just she wants to be a part of our lives, and I just won't let her.
So that was again, guys, my perception of watching that. I did feel like there was some button pushing going on. So and then when we get to the sandbar, and this will be my last question for you, but when we get to the sandbar and there is this almost altercation that really nothing happened. We didn't see anyone touching anyone unless, you tell me there was something that was cut out. But we saw you ready to do your train combat if need be. But I wanted to know because there was a clip surfacing around from a past season of Married to Medicine where Lisa and Nicole got into an altercation where Lisa actually did strike quad across the face with like a glass of water. And she was talking to Dr. G about it. He was like, listen, it's small scratches. You do not need to call or file a police report over something so minor. You don't need to be involved in that. So people were questioning, well, he's telling her not to file charges, yet he was looking to file charges when he actually wasn't touched. So what are your thoughts on that? Is that also too like apple and oranges to you, or how did you
Um,
feel about that?
I think because it's TV, it's just a perception that everybody gets. But like, yeah, everybody has to keep in mind that Gregory used to actually live with her, and so he knows what she's capable of and knows what she's been doing. So, I think that in that sense, I think that he knows her and he knows some of the things that she did for it to get to that point.
Okay.
And so I think that he hadn't even really spoken with her new guy. Yeah, he hadn't even spoken to her new guy. And so like he feels like he didn't have anything to do with that. Like he's, existing on the show that he's been a part of. And
Mhm.
all of a sudden, like this dude is charging at him, which was very random because they did squash it. And so I even talked to the guy and I said, hey, we're not gonna get involved. Although like your girl is wrong, but I don't know if he before the hire or whatever, because like no man, no other man gonna sit there and allow I'm not gonna let my current spouse or my current boyfriend or girlfriend sit there and talk up some bullshit. Like you bother. Like that would piss me off personally. And so I think that Gregory's whole thing is like, he told me to stay away from her. I know what she's capable of. Like just try to avoid her. Like that's what she into the drama. And so that was his advice. And so I think that he doesn't know that guy, and he felt like he did nothing to warrant that for him to
Mhm.
charge and take his shirt off. Now I was running over there because I was going upside the head. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
So if the
I
shoe was on
was.
the other foot, I think it's safe to say you wouldn't be filing charges. You would be in combat.
That would be in combat, right? And so, although I took responsibility, like, okay, I was wrong at the moment, but at the same time, like, don't like I just spoke with you now. What's the problem? Like, don't
Right.
go over there bothering him after we just spoke. And so I didn't like that, and my husband, he didn't like that I ran over. He was more upset with me because I ran over. He was like, well, it'd have to be a fight to death if you got involved and he did something with you or whatever. Well, shoot, we both gonna be dead.
And it's similar to what they were saying on the show, right? That no man is going to let someone say shut the F up to their wife. So same for you, right? If you came over there and
Yes.
something was to pop off, then he has no choice but to defend you. So
Yeah.
totally get it.
Yes, yes. And so, I'm protective of my family. I love my husband, and regardless of how he feels, like I'm always gonna be there for him. And we're gonna hash it out behind the cameras.
Right.
But like I'm gonna be there for you. Like I wanna make sure that you good. He's my everything. Like I love him. And so whenever it comes to people that I love, I'm coming at you full throttle.
You
And they
must
know
protect
that, and they know
family,
that
right?
about me. Mhm.
I agree. And well, it definitely showed, like I said, in the reunion throughout the season, you were a supportive wife. You had his back. And, again, disagreements happen, behind the scenes or not in front of them. But I definitely feel like I said, you are a great wife. You're
Yeah.
standing 10 tones down. And I just wanted to, again, commend you on that. And thank you for talking with me today and just
No
giving me your thoughts on
problem.
these questions that my followers have. I really, really appreciate you coming on.
No problem.
Now I'm looking for, before we get out of here, I'm looking for the access to the money shirt that Greg wore rapping on the show. I didn't see it on your site. I
Oh,
saw the extra ones, but I want the shirt that Greg had on with your face
so
on
it's
it.
on there now. Like
Okay.
if you go to my YouTube, The Real Sweet Tea, you can
Okay.
see the link underneath, and you'll see the other shirt. But
Okay, because I was trying to order it and wear it today. I was trying to get it here in time and I couldn't find it. I was gonna have the access to
to
money
the
shirt
money.
on. So, you guys make sure you go to her YouTube channel. What's your YouTube channel if you want to tell everybody how to find
Yes,
you there?
yes. You can find me on YouTube, The Real Sweet Tea, and also on Instagram, The Real Sweet Tea.
Right, and she has her link in bio for you to get you access to the money tea and other merch. Okay.
That's right.
Well, thank you again, Sweet Tea, for stopping by and hanging out with me, guys. It's your girl V with Reality Recap. This interview will be exclusively on my YouTube channel. It's coming across the screen at Reality Recap 2876. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And T, again, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You take care.
All right.